Welcome to Toast and Jams. Welcome, Becca Wordingham, to Toast and Jams.
Yeah.
You are a London-based makeup artist
Correct.
with a reputation for creating both clean and experimental looks alike, called upon by industry-leading photographers and designers and celebrities and fashion houses. That's quite a list. How's it going?
Good. Pretty good.
Yeah?
Yeah. Very hot day in London.
Welcome to Toast and Jams. It's very
Thanks.
hot. Thank you for joining us.
Pleasure. Thanks for having me.
No problem. It's a pleasure for us. We like our guests to bring a drink of their choice.
Yeah.
What
so
have
I
you
didn't
brought
quite
today?
get the brief. I should have gone kombucha, but I went margarita.
No, I think that's a good choice.
These, really tasty little margie in a can.
Yeah, who'd have thought?
I mean, yeah, I did think. Thought it was a great idea.
Yeah, so you had that idea
I had that idea in lockdown.
during lockdown.
Yeah. I mean, well done, Moth. You've killed it.
So
Delicious.
what happened why did you not take it any further?
You know, it was lockdown. There was lots of ideas. But yeah, I mean, I should have. I really should have.
So much space for ideas and no space to
Exactly.
do them,
Well,
I guess, in lockdown.
also, it was like the first time in sort of, 13, 14 years I'd taken like time out and space and like not worked.
100%.
So I was like
yeah.
having all these ideas and then I was like, oh, actually, don't want to do that. I just want to like chill and be and like go for a dog walk, do a run, like just chill out basically and not do anything.
How's Betty?
She's great.
Good.
Yeah. She's really
How old
good.
is she now? This Betty is Becca's dog,
Yeah.
by the way.
She'll be 10 in February, which is wild.
Wow. And what's that in human years again? Do you know?
Times 7. So
Oh, wow.
yeah.
She's an old lady.
Yeah,
Bless
yeah.
her.
No, she's definitely an old lady, but
That time's gone quick. She got grey.
She's she's always been great. So yeah, now
No,
she's
but you know,
enhanced even more. Yeah.
white
She's fully.
moustache.
Yeah, she's like, she's definitely got some chin hairs coming and
Yeah.
a little bit slower, calmer, which
Bless
is amazing.
her. There's nothing more endearing than an old dog, I
She's
think.
incredible.
Yeah,
Like a lovely, lovely girl. But yeah, it's sad. She's not as eager as she once was.
No, of course.
That's probably a good thing. She was
That's good for
a bloody
you.
nightmare, wasn't she?
Yeah, right. She was definitely a lot. She's strong. She was
She's
strong. Yeah.
She is
So
strong.
if she cools off a bit, that's all right.
Yeah. She's
Should
good.
we do a fresh pour
yeah,
of
sure.
these margaritas whilst they're cold?
Yeah, good shout.
I do have to monitor my intake of these a little bit because they're a bit too delicious.
Yeah, they're good. That's definitely going to be a top festival. I'm going to take these to the festival.
Oh, 100%.
Right?
Now that I've tried it.
Oh, yeah, you haven't. This is the first time.
This is the first time I've tried this.
Wow,
Yeah.
welcome to the moth world.
Like a moth to a flame.
Well, yeah.
Cheers.
Cheers. These are
Lovely.
also could be a moth on the glass, but it's not.
Let's just say it is. Yeah.
Okay. Moth on a glass. Is that far away? Sorry.
We also ask guests to pick a tune from their teenage years
Yeah.
that, was kind of influential or holds a memory for you. What tune is that?
Should I tell you? Jurassic. Yeah.
Yes, please.
Jurassic 5, Concrete Schoolyard. So, yeah. I've had a very busy week of prepping this project, which I'm working on, and late nights, long days, basically computer work, which is not my forte.
Mm-hmm.
So I've just been I've also been in the library, which is definitely the bit that I love, but just kind of like working out plans and seeing how like an idea for a future business could come together. And during that, there was like, you were sending me some questions and I was like, literally don't have the capacity for that. My like ADHD brain was just like, got to do this one thing, try and do that. Otherwise I'll just get sidetracked. So it was like the initial thing that came to mind. So perhaps that's
But I think that's how it should be.
Yeah, exactly.
Totally. Yeah.
So I was like, obviously it's not like, it doesn't feel like the raving days or the days when I was like partying with my friends, but it was like pre that. And it was like the very beginning of my teenage years.
1998 it came out?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So it was like kind of like really young. My sister was like super into music and DJ'd and like had like so many records and had loads of like musicians. She used to work in Tower Records on Ken High Street.
Yeah.
Her first job when she was 16, and she worked there for years. So she would get so much vinyl, and like so many artists would go in because in those days, people would still sign and like do signings. So I remember once like Eminem came to our house. She'd met him, bizarre.
Who?
Like, Eminem once.
Wow.
There was like and she knows Charlie Tuna. Well, she did know Charlie Tuna from Jurassic Park. So that's how.
Tuna. Charlie Tuna.
She would make me like these MP3s and like tapes, and when I was super young, from like the age of 12, I guess, and every time she made one, this would be on it. So I feel like that was just the kind of, that's where it came from. That's why I chose this song. But it isn't like...
almost, and also the tune has nostalgia woven into it because it's like Schoolyard is in the title.
Totally.
It's got that piano that feels like, I don't know, vintagey and nostalgic and
I feel like it wasn't like the years where I started raving or dancing or going out.
It's hard,
but
I know it's hard to pick one song.
It was like one, I was like, can I do a little soundtrack? But no, that one. So yeah, I did it. That was the first thing that came. Yeah, I think you should do that. You should have your top 5, I think.
Well, see, we were going to do 3 because 3 is the magic number in all senses in everything.
But then you've got like a buffer either way.
But the thing is with 3 is that, I don't know, man. I think if you can just focus on one and take it to the place and time of that when it came out, I think it's a lot more, I don't know, man. It just feels like...
But... If you had 3...
bit, from limitation, it's a bit better to have more of a limitation than it is to just have to like open it up. I disagree. Okay, go on.
I think having 3... Because there's different... there's different sections of your life or different... Like, you can't like compartmentalize... Everything has like a different... you have these different kind of moments and like... how can you say it? Maybe like...
So you think 5?
Yeah, 3 or 5 for me. I think it's...
What's your top 5 then?
Oh my God,
Let's do it.
That's difficult. Today I was like, I feel like it's Streets, like Blinded by the Lights.
That's a big tune. Yeah, it's a big
tune.
Yeah.
And I was thinking of some like garage tunes. Again, it's like, which one do I pick? Because there's so many, it feels so wrapped up.
I would have been all for garage tunes, Streets, of course,
Some drum and bass.
But I just think your gut was like Concrete Schoolyard.
Yeah,
and
true.
I think, you should stick with that.
Yeah, fair enough. But I was just like, I was trying to build this kind of,
But what we do is we put a link to the tune in the description when we publish. So if you wanted to add any tunes...
Oh yeah, that's a good shout.
After...
Yeah, that's a really good idea.
I can't see why we can't do that.
A tableau, that's the word I was looking for, sorry. It's like a tableau of your life. Like if you have 5, can be like, so at different stages of your life, and it still is your teens, but at 13 you were different to when you were 15, or when you were 15, suddenly maybe you started raving and then, other things came into it. So
but like you said, you were very busy last week.
Yeah, no, exactly.
Picking one tune was hard enough.
I know.
So,
but actually, perhaps for certain people, picking a selection is easier because then you're not sort of, it doesn't feel so kind of like final. It feels a bit more
there's
like...
a lot of weight on one.
Exactly. That's why, where I struggled. I felt like I was now like not giving in to the other. I felt like I was like, abandoning the others when they were just as important.
Okay. All right, noted.
Cool.
Thanks for your feedback.
No worries.
Can you tell us about your journey into the world of makeup artistry? And like, is there a time in your teens where you feel like there was interest sparked, even like in hindsight, of course, like where would you say was your creative journey? I was always
like very much against being a makeup artist. My mum's a makeup artist. And
okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. Did I know that?
Yeah, not sure.
I think I did know that.
But my mum, so she studied sculpture at Glasgow Art School. And then
that's really cool. That's a nice
that's a good segue, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah. However, she left early because she entered this competition that the BBC were doing in the 60s. She's older.
Yeah.
And they wanted like special effects makeup artists. So she kind of entered this competition.
Did she do busts and things like that with her hands?
Yeah, and faces mainly.
Right,
so and that's kind of led to the special effects. And then anyway, she got onto this, she kind of won this prize and got onto this course. And then studied makeup and special effects at the BBC in the 60s. So
That must have been a great time.
Yeah, I think so. I think it was also
the
probably
60s, then BBC was kind of like innocent and
was
innovative.
It though? I think
Oh yeah, maybe not actually.
Yeah,
that's the wrong word.
Completely. I think it was completely. I think it was.
I take it back.
Probably quite chauvinistic, actually.
Yeah,
and,
yeah, sure. Amongst other things, actually.
I mean, she's very Scottish, and I think she had a regional accent, and they didn't like that. So
wow.
I think actually, Anne being a woman, and you know, she had red hair. I think she's quite beautiful. So I think there was a lot of things that probably weren't that innocent actually about it.
Right.
So, but that being said, it's an establishment that if you're coming from like, you know,
it's
just outside of Glasgow,
work,
it's kind of
right?
it was a cool thing to do at that time. And she learned her trade and her, you know, and the craft. But so I always I knew what it was, but I never saw myself. I always wanted to be a cinematographer or a photographer or a director. That was kind of where I thought I would end up. So it wasn't like, you know, from a young age, I was like painting faces. And I love to paint. And like my dad really like taught me how to paint. And like, that was amazing. But that wasn't like my absolute desire. I kind of fell into it. I studied photography at university, and then my mum was teaching at a makeup school, and then I was really sad. There's like so many people in this class. I don't really want to be, you know, sending these people out when they don't have the same kind of training that I was allowed to have. So we decided to start a makeup school when she was just turned 60.
Yeah,
and
wow.
I was just starting university. So I was like 19 or 20. And then I got a loan from the bank. And then, you know, those days, like, we're just like giving out loans left, right, and center. So got a loan, gave her some money, started a makeup school. And then during my second year of my degree, I was like, oh, I've got basically 6 months off. I should probably just like come on the course so I know what I'm talking about. And then I went to do it. And then when I was graduating at uni, I was like, oh, well, I'll probably go and assist and do some photography. And I did that for a little bit. And a similar thing, it was like, you know, at that time, people were like, oh, you're never going to earn as much as a man, or you're never going to do. It's like, wow, okay, that's interesting.
How did that make you feel? Did that galvanize you slightly?
Yeah, kind of, actually. Strangely, that wouldn't normally. And now when I think about it, I was like, wow, why was I feeling? But I think the reason being now is because I always wanted to do photography as it was really joyful, and I really enjoyed it, but I didn't necessarily want to do it as my career. And I think that then took it away from me. I was like, right, well, if you're putting all these limitations on me, then I don't want to do it. I want to do something. I want to have it in my kind of arsenal to do, you know, when I want to do it. I don't want to be forced to do something.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was like, right, well, met somebody in the pub. They were making a feature film. They were like, oh, we need a makeup artist.
That's classic, yeah.
Yeah.
Which
and then
pub?
It was in Belsize Park.
Okay.
Can't remember the name, but like near the Royal Free. And they were making a feature film. They needed a makeup artist. She was an older lady making this feature film about like women going through their menopause. And then like I did it, and then I got loads of my friends on it, which was weird. Like my friend Jessie was like assisting me, and then my friend Kim was like assisting producing. Like there was like a bunch of us that basically got involved.
Fun as well.
Yeah, it was so fun. We didn't get paid, you know. I called up Mac. I was super like.
But that's first job, right?
So green, so naive. I was like, hey Mac, do you want to like sponsor me during this feature film? They were like, yeah, sure. What do you want? And I was like, I don't know, like 200 products. And they didn't give us any money, but they like set me up with a kit, and like my assistant set up with a kit. And then that was kind of it. And then I think
that's great to have. It was
that
so
good. Yeah, it was so good.
Just to have that.
And also,
a lot of people wouldn't have made that cool.
Yeah, totally. You know? I was just like, you've got to try these things. I've got to buy
all my stuff now, and like, probably borrowed some money to buy some stuff. But
I was like, no,
it's good you made that like, cool. And they were just like, yeah, you know. That's
be
cool.
a little bit like inventive in those moments. Also, if you don't ask, like that was the one thing my dad always taught me.
Don't get.
Don't ask, don't get. Classic producer like mentality. Just go for it.
Yeah.
Ask for it, and you'll probably get it.
Definitely. Yeah.
So yeah, did that, and then I just like after that you do another. Once you do one film, you kind of do another film, and then I sort of stopped that, and then moved into like TV and commercials, and then into fashion.
After the first job, how many films had you done before you moved into? I
think I did 8 feature films.
Wow. It's a lot of work. What's the workload like on a feature film for you? Depends on the film, I guess.
No, like you do a lot. So you do like the pre-production. So you kind of do the script breakdown and like the character breakdown, which is essentially like working out. You know, that's the bit that I
Do you
love.
work with storyboards?
So no, I usually work with like a visual guide. So I'm like, I'll look at characters that are similar in real, you know, from real life.
Yeah.
And then we do like screen tests before, if they've got budget. So say you're working on a script and somebody has had an accident when they were a teenager, and they had a car accident and they've got a scar on their face. Where was the scar? Why did it happen? You know, all these things you've got to think about, and how you're going to keep continuity for that length of filming. So perhaps they're in 90% of the film. So how are you going to keep that continuity? So like you have to use markers on the face to keep that
measurements and everything.
Yeah, exactly.
Is that, would you say continuity is quite a big challenge when it comes to feature films?
For filming? Yeah. I guess, yeah, it is. I mean, there's people on set usually doing that and helping you. But
there's no error. There's no room for error.
Exactly. And you can really spot it, I think. But yeah, that's the thing now in fashion. Obviously, I don't have that same kind of character breakdown and like sort of understanding. I mean, I do because I've come from that, but you're not able to like create that every day because in fashion it's so quick. You're just sort of, you know, the turnaround's completely different, and it's not to be lasting for, you know, there's something about that tangibility when you're in film that it lasts forever. Whereas like a fashion shoot, which is, you know, what I do now, it's very throwaway. It's very kind of, it's a completely different mindset.
You can be a bit more, but there's room for more creativity in that.
Totally.
Right?
And also there's room for me to have a life, which is
that sounds good.
Yeah. I mean, let's hope.
You're not allowed.
No, but you know, when you're on films, you could be on a film, you know, on the bigger budget ones. I wasn't ever on a big budget one, which I kind of regret. I would love to have done one, but like, you know,
can't you still?
Yeah, for sure. But I just feel like, you know, taking 6 months out of my life now is like that's quite a big. If I'm going to do that, I'd probably just have a baby, you know? It's like, to do that but you know what I mean? It's
very
like
different
very
things.
different things. But it's like it's a commitment. You do 6 months on a film with the same people and the same, you know, on those bigger budgets, sometimes even 9 months, like on the really, really, really big ones.
Yeah, even longer sometimes, you know. Depends. It really depends.
Yeah. So, but whereas I did maybe the maximum was 6 weeks to 2 months. So
let's say, the feature film, you got in the pub, met someone in the pub,
Yeah.
After that, at which point did you when was the moment when you're like, okay, this is what I want to do?
Actually, you know what? I think it was on that film. Because
during it?
Yeah. It was like maybe the second week in. And obviously it was bringing all my friends in. I was like, wow, this is so fun. They're like, it's called a crew. It's called a crew for a reason. Like you are a crew.
Yeah.
And like you feel like you're creating this, there's a vision, a creative vision that you all have. Hopefully you have all the same sort of, you know, you follow this kind of, the language is the same.
There's got to be alignment, basically.
Exactly.
Otherwise there's trouble. But yes,
totally.
Exactly. You're on the same page.
But you're building something that's bigger than everything that, you know, you're creating something that's going to be lasting and it's going to be
I think
I
think humans need that.
Yeah, for sure.
I think we're like our modern day society forces us into individualism so much, especially at the moment. Like,
totally.
I think humans naturally are tribal, naturally need to work together for something bigger than them to make them feel fulfilled. So in terms of a work environment, it's a cool place to be, right?
For sure. It doesn't feel like work at all. You're just like, so in that way, and also just the idea of like building characters and scripts, which have, you know, that someone else has experienced is quite amazing. So they can feel like there's, you know, their story is being told or whatever it might be. There's something kind of amazing about that as well.
How would you say you I think maybe in the fashion world, like let's say, because it's different with movies, but using your artistry, how can you tell stories with what you do visually?
Wow, now in fashion.
Yeah,
it's funny. It's such a fast-paced, like different.
How do you translate this? Because do you often get briefs from
so for editorial, so that I did, so I guess there's different streams of my work now. It's like there's like the commercial jobs, which, you know, yes, thank you, I'll take the money, I'll do whatever you want, kind of thing. So that's one thing. We need to eat, we need to pay our rent or our mortgage, whatever.
Of course.
And not to say that it's, you know, it's totally boring. You can have amazing days, you can have long days, you can whatever. It's the same. It's varied. We have the commercial kind of money jobs, and then you have the kind of the campaigns, which again is for money, but it can be a little bit more, perhaps tiny bit more creative or stylized, maybe rather than creative. And then
expressive,
or like stylized to the brand.
Oh
so
yeah, of course.
It has to obviously refer to that and relate to what their vision is. And then you have shows, so like runway shows, which is very much like parallel to that brand and has to really speak whatever their, the woman or the man or the person that they're trying to portray is. It has to be that. And then there's editorial, which is magazine work, which you don't get paid for. So it's quite in the fashion world.
Is that like a kind of flat rule with magazines?
It's only recently, actually, that the larger magazines, I'm not sure I should name them, but some of the Condé Nast magazines have put in place, a nominal, very small amount fee for myself and for my assistant, which I obviously have to top up because it doesn't cover my full assistant's rate. So essentially, every time I do an editorial, I'm out of pocket. So I'm, buying maybe special. Yeah. And
because don't they have advertising in their magazine?
For sure, but that's
so where's the flow
idea
of money going?
Yeah, it's a funny thing that everybody's always kind of accepted. I think in another way of looking at it is, I guess it allows you that creative freedom, and perhaps by doing those things, it's almost like a launch pad or a sort of a showcase of what you can do. So then you get the bigger ad jobs.
But I would argue,
totally,
if brands are existing on the same pages,
totally,
then they are milking your artistry.
Yeah.
And therefore, the money there should be some money.
It's a conversation that's being had like in the industry and has
Is there
been.
a union? Do you have a makeup artist union?
It's funny, there is one for film and TV, obviously.
Of course, yeah.
But there's Beck too, which is kind of the one for film and TV, and they've just started one for fashion. But there is a counter argument, which is kind of, I kind of understand as well. So there's like a top end limit with those, with like Beck too, for instance. So if you're in film, it's like, if you're a designer, you can earn up to this amount. Whereas in fashion, there is no top end. There's people I won't speak about, but there are people who, I know make 20, 30K a day to paint faces or to to brush hair, essentially.
Well, yeah.
So,
but you're being reductive of your own your own practice there.
But then, so if you have this kind of,
but that's an extreme amount of money for a day's work, yeah.
Correct. But then if you have this, this union in place that would cap that,
it would.
So then there's this counter argument. So you're like, is it okay that 50% or 60% of my work is unpaid because I get paid more per day on the days that I do get paid?
That's fear, hope. That's fear that plays on the hope that everyone has, that I would hope to make that much money.
Well, exactly.
And not anyone's going to.
And it's perseverance. It's like perseverance of the game. It's like 16 years I've been doing this, and now I'm like, okay, I'm kind of okay, but I still worry.
I would lean towards the cap and to bring it like that a bit.
I mean, that's
more fair.
It's a kind of, that is the... Anyway, those are the two.
It's political, to be honest.
Political, for sure,
socialism, basically.
Totally. And also the idea of fashion being this, elitist, like 20 people who run that, and they're like, if they want you in, they'll let you in. If they don't, you're out. Do you know what I mean? It's that, it's very much.
Music's very similar as well.
Yeah. And film is to some degree, but I guess there's more being produced and there's more budget.
The film, the union thing is a lot stronger worldwide, literally worldwide.
Totally. Whereas fashion is...
Also because film moves and shoots in different countries, and there has to be agreements with all, where...
I mean, fashion does as well. It's just...
But
it's a very funny... It's a dichotomy. I don't know what the right thing is. But I know what the system is now. And I know what, there's a hierarchy and all these things. And it's like...
Are you working the system now?
Yeah.
To your advantage? I hope so.
I mean, you have to, don't you? Otherwise, you can't feed yourself. So, you have to.
How would you say you stay current with trends and techniques in quite a fast evolving industry, I'm assuming?
Yeah, I mean...
Are there practices things that you, like routines that you have?
Well, I also, what's really nice is being where I am in my career, I have assistants. So, and they're a lot younger. They're very they're Gen Z. So it's really great. I can tap into them, going on TikToks, going on Instagram, doing all these things, telling me about the new products. But also then I can, from there, because I don't want to, basically, I can't spend my whole life doing that, obviously. And I think I would. I think I'd get into a trap of just being like doom scrolling and doing all of that. So I think hearing, about new products or new launches or these new things, it's an amazing way through them for me to kind of see what's going on.
It's an organic way.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But not to say that I'm not kind of aware of it. I'm looking around every day, if I'm on the bus or I'm like on the tube or
assistant. So that's an organic way to find out.
But then, yeah, I guess social is definitely like helped, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, all those channels are actually, if you utilize them in the right way, can be amazing.
Do you limit your socials time?
Yeah, 15 minutes.
A day?
Well, I have 15-minute alarm on.
Yeah.
So if I
have that,
stop,
but I ignore it.
Oh, yeah, but then I'm like, okay, I need to come off and do something else.
That's very good.
So,
I don't have that kind of discipline.
But doesn't mean that I always stick to it.
Okay.
But I'm aware then, and then I'm like, okay, I need to send that email. I need to do that thing. I need to.
Yeah.
We were talking earlier about like having this ADHD. So I feel like I need to kind of be like teleported back into myself sometimes, because otherwise I'll be like for hours just doing like in this deep dive, which is kind of why I love libraries, because I can do it in like this really amazing space.
Well, yeah, libraries are definitely more
I do it on my phone.
A healthy way to
last week I was
experience
in Scotland,
information.
And I like called up the university in Dundee, and I was like, hey,
wow.
I'm working on this project. They have this really amazing art. They have a really amazing art school in Dundee, so like Dundee Arts. And I called them up and I was like, I'm working on this project. I'd really love to use your library. I know that, school's not in, but they were like, of course, come in.
Wow.
So I went there for a couple of days and just like, I
can't believe that they just, and then the schools wasn't open.
I've done it in many schools, that's my top tip. But
this is a little hack.
Yeah, and I've got another hack, but I sort of don't want to share. But there's the biggest arts library is in the V&A. Yeah. And I go and I just work from there sometimes, Tuesdays to Thursdays. They have. And it's really amazing because it's free, and you're working in the V&A, which is incredible. And you can go downstairs, have a really nice lunch.
V&A is just a great place to be.
Lovely. And then have a nice lunch, come back up, work, and everyone else is kind of like doing their PhD and like working on these really,
amazing.
And then you feel a bit more accountable rather than like being in my flat, being like, oh, I'm going to put a wash on, or like I've got to do the washing up, or whatever,
Yeah.
Or like at my studio.
And yet you have people pay for these work desks that are just uninspiring spaces.
I mean, I have a studio as well, but sometimes I work really well there, and other times I'm just like bouncing around putting like makeup in boxes, and I'm like, I need to be doing something beneficial here. So anyway, yeah.
Cool.
In short,
that's a top tip.
Yeah, I shouldn't have given it away, but libraries. Libraries, like it's fundamentally, I can use my old university library, and I still do.
Yeah.
I just drive to Harrow and go there, and like,
so they allow
no one sees me. Yeah, as an alumni.
Cool. Yeah,
but I also go to like LCF and like and some, like, it's really hard to get into those ones. Like if you go into
You've been to every library.
A lot. Yeah.
That's cool. That's very cool. How would you describe your do you have a signature style? Do you think visually
I just love like good skin.
Thread that runs through it.
Good skin, like skin.
Of course, I mean.
No, but you say that.
That's your canvas, right? Like,
yeah, but like as in that first, and then I think I'm always about like good skin, and then like a weird little tweak of something else. So it's a little bit off, but everything, like the skin is beautiful, but then something else is off.
Let's say with the more like expressive, more artistic fashion world things maybe, or editorials.
Yeah.
What would be your kind of, is there
I think it's like beautiful skin with something a bit off.
Okay.
That's the only way I can describe it, which is kind of probably not that.
Okay. No colours or styles, or I don't know.
Yeah, it's so
Depends
unique.
on the brief, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
it's so vast. You can't really like pinpoint it, I think. Sticking
with signature styles and stuff like that, do you have any favourite techniques or products that you rely on? It's something that you can share, obviously. I know you don't want to give all your your secrets away, but
there's a few MAC products which I know that's quite like old school, but there's still a few MAC products that I love. There's a few like Clé de Peau, there's a few Glossier, there's a few from Dior. There's like, I have kind of a multitude of different brands that Giorgio Armani, like loads of different brands that I kind of pull from. And that's quite again, depends on the face, depends on the brief, depends on the finish. Like, is it a red carpet? Is it editorial? Is it, a campaign? Whatever. Yeah. Are we in 40-degree heat? Are we in -10? It depends. So I think that's
I think we're in 40 right now.
Yeah, I think maybe we are. Yeah.
So, and also when it comes to kind of like individual clients, like outside of, I guess, brief world or runway or anything like that, how do you create specific requests over creative freedom? So individual clients with requests over creative freedom. How do you kind of approach that?
This sounds really awful, but I guess it depends on. So I have a few.
I want to hear what sounds awful.
Well, I guess you'd call. I guess they're influencers. But they
could be anyone, right? They could be.
But I have a few people that I work. So a few influencers, a few actresses, a few musicians that I work with, and they are paying me. Sometimes it's from a brand. Let's say, I don't know, Acne or Dior, pay for them to be front row. That's how it happens a lot now. That budget will come from the brand, but other times they're taking themselves there, so it'll come out of pocket.
Yeah.
So, when somebody's paying you and they have a vision and they want to be and look a certain way, you kind of have to fill that requirement because you're not going to be booked again. And you also have this relationship that you have to uphold and you want to uphold. But what if
they're making a request that's against their better judgment and it's not going to work for them?
But then that's where the you can be diplomatic, and that's where the experience comes in. You're like, I'm going to do this, but I'm going to make it like this. That's happened recently to me. I was like, I will do that, but I'm not going to do that because it will feel too, it felt too vintage. And I was like, and I know you don't want that. You want something like really modern, but what you're showing me is something very vintage. So
I know you don't want that.
I know you don't want that. And then because of that, then they agreed. So it's like, it's about finding that like diplomacy and working on that.
For sure.
That's like, 9 times out of 10, that's what you've got to do with the client, with the person in your chair, with the art director, whoever it is.
They're all human.
But you're just basically, you have to get your point across but making it think that that's their point.
Yeah. No, fair enough.
Bullshit the bullshitter.
Yeah. So what advice would you give to someone that's just starting out in the makeup industry?
Oh my God. So,
or to yourself even. I think that's a better question because we can't just make up someone, pretend person.
I think like build your tribe, or like build your team, build like the people.
Your crew.
Your crew, exactly. Yeah. Build your people around you you can, whether that's wherever you go on your journey, you'll have those people with has your back, basically. That, and like be really like honest and true to yourself. So, if something's making you unhappy or miserable, don't do it. Like maybe just move on. You don't have to do something because you think it's it's what you should be doing. You don't. You just you move on. But also, it's such a different landscape now. Like there's a different world with socials. When I started, we had Facebook and we had MySpace, that we really didn't have like Instagram or TikTok or Twitter or all these things that kind of allowed you to be your own, to have your own autonomy and to be your own agent. We didn't have that. So,
So what would you say, what skills and qualities would you say now in this day and age would lead to success in the makeup field?
Same thing that did, 16 years ago is personality, unfortunately. So I think...
Personality at the top.
I think 60% of it is personality.
Wow, okay, that's
and
interesting.
I think 40% of it is skill, which is really mad.
Because but I would kind of agree with you in terms of almost everything. It's
I think it's a 60-40 split. And so many of my friends or so many of my peers think it's the other way around. But actually, this might sound really awful, but a lot of the time it might be somebody who doesn't know what they're talking about is looking at the results. So that's
just the truth.
They're looking at it and they're like, it seems good, but you're a vibe, you're fun. This the model, the actor, whoever it is, they're happy. So we'll book you again. Do you know what I mean? There is that kind of, and I'm not to say that you should rely on that. That doesn't mean that I'm fully believe people should have like this craft and should really like education for me. I had a makeup school for years. So obviously like fundamentally that's what I believe. But I also think I've seen through the makeup school, we've seen like, so like hundreds of people who are so talented, but they don't have the, not they don't have the personality, they don't have necessarily the other side of it. They don't have that other skill set, which is to be a people person. And that's really difficult because you need that just as much, if not a bit more, just to kind of fight your corner and to be heard and to be,
I mean, it's a people facing role in 360 degrees. Like you're working with people that are delivering information down to you, and then you're working to
absolutely
with the person that you're putting the makeup
have
on,
that
and assistance
level of like empathy and dynamic, and to really, it's a funny skill. It was like somebody said to me, a friend of mine the other day was like, it's interesting, we were out somewhere and they were like, you've managed to find a common like thread or common denominator with this random person in the first 30 seconds. And I was like, fundamentally, that's what I've been doing for 16 years. That's all I do.
Have you ever had jobs in the service industry, like restaurants or bars?
I worked at Gap Kids.
Okay. So yeah, retail.
Yeah, retail.
I think retail is, and similar to other service industry roles, gives you or teaches you, like someone walks through a door, and you've got 10, 15 seconds to
and
be
you've
like,
got
hey.
to find that.
Yeah. And I think it's really like an underrated education.
Yeah.
It's so valuable.
But it's body language. It's almost
being able to read really quickly someone.
It's really amazing, actually. It's a skill in itself.
Yeah, it is. And I think once you get that, you can drop someone who then has that skill into a lot of situations.
Totally.
And they'll thrive.
Yeah. And they will. So I think that, I don't know. That's my tip, but I don't know if it's learned or if it's inherent. I don't know. It's one of those things.
I think it's totally a mixture of, it's a 50-50 split with that.
Perhaps,
it's a mixture of both, because I think
upbringing, some people,
genes play a massive part in all of that, but then also the ability to learn it too,
Yeah, and also have like genuine empathy and care for somebody, because essentially, another thing is like, if let's say like I don't have a gerbil, but let's say my gerbil died the night before, that person in my chair is my number one priority, not the fact that I might be, grieving my gerbil.
Whereas me. Yeah.
And it is always, they have, the last word. You're the last person they see before they go on set. You're the first person they see in the morning.
You could argue it's a service role, actually.
Yeah, actually, it kind of is in a way.
That, yeah.
And like, you're the therapist, you're the comedian, you're kind of everything to that person if it goes well. So you are fundamental to that process and to that day going well and smoothly. So.
Yeah. And if you don't have that rapport with the subject, you're not going to get booked again, because they're going to be like...
Well, and also sometimes that's just the nature of it. That's just how it is,
She didn't have a good vibe.
You can't do that with every single person. That's just... It's impossible.
So how do you maintain a balance between work and personal life?
That's the old age question.
It's a demanding career.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever really been able to do that 100%. Okay. I don't know, everything, like something's always had to give.
Do you think it ebbs and flows and where the balance lies?
Yeah, for sure.
Pendulum kind of vibe.
I guess that goes back to like a bigger question, which we spoke about earlier. It's like, I'm a woman of a certain age. Society, expects me to do a certain thing at a certain time, all those things. And I think relationships obviously have had to suffer. I've committed to a career at certain times and sacrificed a lot in other times, but it's just one of those things. I think, there is definitely for me, the having like fashion as my kind of base is an easier way, because I can, maybe work 3-4 days a week and not work every day for 6 months.
That's how you found the balance.
Yeah, for me, that's definitely, that's the dream. That's the, that's the end goal. Let's see if that turns out to be. But yeah, it's definitely, it's completely ebbs and flows, and it's always something that you've constantly got to like battle with, and you've got to like check in with yourself.
And how do you think it would evolve for you? Are you happy to carry on in the role that you have until you stop? Or would you, kind of from a business sense, I guess, or kind of like growing a bit of a legacy?
Yeah.
And knowing what you and your mum did
Yeah.
too, is there something that you'd like to create, school or
I think
management company or some kind of progression?
Yeah, I mean, definitely agency is not for me. I don't think I would want to. Yeah, that's just not for me. I mean, I think I'd be a good agent, but I don't want to do that.
No, fair enough.
But I do. This project that I've just handed in, I think that could be really exciting. I think there's so much scope so much, not even
What's the
scope.
project that you just handed in, sorry?
It's some funding for a beauty idea, but I think there's currently at the moment, like the beauty industry, there's like 120 billion pieces of packaging waste that's created every year. So it's the second after the food industry. So it's a huge amount.
Not surprising.
So there is like, obviously there's this kind of gap in the market. So I think for me, I would love to tackle something which makes
sustainability within fashion.
And in beauty particularly.
Oh, sorry,
because
of course, yeah.
Obviously fashion has got its own like agenda.
Beauty spans.
But and you know, people, it's like an access point. People might necessarily not buy a Chanel handbag because it's $2,000, but they'd buy a £40 lipstick. So the access point for people is much, for luxury, it's much more achievable. And I think, but it's forgotten about. So I think we need to like bring that conversation into.
Sounds interesting.
Yeah. So that's kind of a snippet.
I suppose you can't give away too much. No. Cool though.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll have you back on when there's more to talk about with that.
Let's hope.
Yeah, that would be cool.
Let's hope so.
Can you share a beauty tip or trick that you think everyone should know and you can share?
Yeah. Just like sun cream. Absolutely.
Sun cream.
It's like,
classic.
I know it's such a my mum's a redhead. My dad definitely wasn't, but I feel like that's what's kept my skin good and everyone's skin good. I wear minimum 50 a day. I actually weirdly wear
50?
Minimum.
You put me to shame. I do 30. Okay.
Yeah.
So you'd say...
I always do 50. And actually, weirdly, now at the moment, I do 70.
Wow. I didn't know 70 existed. I thought 50 was
100
the top.
exists. Yeah.
100 must just be like a rubber suit, no?
It's a rubber suit.
No, a white rubber suit. I'm wearing
there's
my
arguments
50
that
today.
there's nothing that it doesn't actually protect you anymore after than 50. But
Right,
and also reapplying
I would also argue that maybe 100 wouldn't be good for you.
Reapplying every hour.
Every hour.
Some people say 2 hours. I just stick with 1 hour.
That's if you're on the beach though, right? No?
I don't know. No.
Really?
I'm just,
like city
for me,
living, like inside, outside, apply every hour?
But think about all the rays bouncing off the concrete. No. I think, definitely. Hour.
I think I think that's into paranoia territory slightly, but you do look good, so...
Cheers.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I think I should up my SPF game.
Yeah. I think that's just like anyone and everyone should be doing SPF.
Okay. That's a good tip. And it makes complete sense.
Yeah. But also, I love the sun. I'm not saying that I'm,
of course, yeah.
Like
and it's good for you.
It's essential.
Yeah.
Like, we need it.
I saw an image online the other day,
Or just wear a hat. That's also what I do.
I wear hats a lot, yeah. There was an image online of this guy, of a truck driver, right? I can't remember where I saw it. It's, scrolling
the
timeline.
half.
Yeah,
it's
and
mad,
it was just like, whoa.
But that's like the prime example of
half face, it was just like hanging,
I was driving the other day and then I went to see my mum and like my right arm was super red and she was like, what the hell? And I was like, oh, my arm was kind of out the window all day. And I was like, oh.
Yeah, right.
And it was it was like a 45-minute journey.
You didn't reapply every hour on your arm though on that occasion?
I know. My arm, it's really bad. I know. It's really bad. But yeah, sun cream.
Okay, I mean, my next question was going to be, what's your personal philosophy on beauty and how does it influence your work? But sun cream probably is still a similar answer, I guess.
What's my view on beauty?
What's your personal philosophy?
A philosophy.
Yeah.
Oh, I guess that's so broad. It's like similar to some of the questions I've just been answering, but it's, beauty's in everything and in everyone. That it's kind of like you can't sum it up in...
Yeah.
There's, those like little imperfections are just as beautiful as a flawless face to me.
100%, yeah.
But whether mainstream and have we been fed that through, social media or the media as a general? No, of course not. It's like
It's funny because humans, the beauty in humans exists in the imperfections, yet humans strive for perfection because they feel that that's the right way to
we've been told, I guess. I don't think we necessarily would. I think there is
I think there's an inherent instinct to push for the best that we can do.
For sure. The best,
aesthetically,
yes.
in everything, you know, in the whole spectrum.
But I think, but then there is a huge, you know.
It creates a lot of problems. Definitely.
Creates a lot of problems.
Yeah.
And I think now, yeah, my God, like being a teenager now, that would be hard.
Yeah, definitely. I wouldn't want to be a teenager right now, if I'm honest with you.
It would be really difficult.
In the environment.
Just think about
exists.
like, even, this is such a basic thing to say, but just looking at like different, on Instagram, when you see like not the mask, what do you call it? Oh my God, my brain. Filters, sorry. Thank you.
It's okay.
When you see different filters.
Yeah.
And you're like, that's so unachievable on every level, and
I mean, the ones that I think there's been, it got to a point with Snapchat. I don't have Snapchat and I never did, but I think they crossed over from Snapchat to Instagram, and it got to a peak point where people were using them all the time. And I actually see them a lot less now.
Same. But maybe that's what will happen.
It's been curbed a little bit.
Yeah.
In a healthy way. People realise that it's just that you can't.
And these
live
are the
like
things. This is again going back. It's trends, isn't it? So things, there will always be. There's also a trend of, you know, people perhaps with not such good skin happily embracing that. You know, there's always trends. There's always going to be that, and there's going to be a pushback from the societal norm, or like from whatever it is that people feel they're.
Maybe trends in themselves are the problem.
Perhaps. Wow.
Should there be a trend on how people look? No, not really.
No,
right?
not really.
Because.
But interestingly, I was watching Olympics the other day. Sorry,
okay.
And I was absolutely outraged at some of the commentators. It was a swimming. I was watching like this female swimming race, and they were like, "She's so lanky. She's so this." The other one, and all of these things, and it was so physical.
English commentary. I'm taking it. Yeah.
And I just felt like, how dare they? And it was like these two blokes.
What world are they living
in? Why are you commenting? Not like where they've trained, who's their trainer.
Also, you go and do what they're doing.
Do you know what I mean? It was so bizarre. It was just completely about their aesthetic. I was like, look at her and her lanky
I can't believe
body.
Was that BBC?
Completely, yeah.
Name and shame, please. I can't believe that was allowed to run.
I know. It was really, and I just felt
that feels like
really
30 years ago stuff, like as well. Like that shouldn't be happening in 2024.
Why do we care about if they were lanky or if they were?
Did you see Did you see the Austrian breakdancer by any
No.
chance? Oh my God!
I did see the female skateboarder.
Someone that sneaks through. Like how did you get here?
Was it great?
No.
Oh, okay.
It's like she you know, I'm sorry to say it, but she couldn't breakdance to save her life. And it's really funny because it's just like,
but what? Who else? Who was she competing
how did you
against?
get to this stage? You know, it's me. Like I could.
No, you
couldn't. Anyone.
No,
all of us could do what she was doing.
No.
She was on the floor.
No.
I need to show you. You need to see it.
That's not going to happen.
You'll be.
I'm not going to be breakdancing like her. She was in the Olympics.
You need to see it. So Campbell, my fellow producer, has informed me that the said Olympian has a PhD in breakdancing. But you wouldn't know. But it also goes to show that reading a book doesn't mean you can do a thing, right? I really need you.
You don't have a PhD
I really
in
need you to see it. Yeah, but I can. I've got eyes.
Okay, it's that bad.
Yeah, it's just hilarious. It's like, who let you get to this point? Like,
wow.
You know, when certain campaigns get released, you're like,
why? Yeah, how is that been?
There are so many barriers.
Some people have signed this off.
Yeah. It's like that. It's like, who signed her off?
Okay,
I'm sorry
well,
to say.
I need to see it.
You do. It's really funny. What role does colour theory play in your makeup design, and how do you use it to enhance your work?
Yeah, that's a really good question. That's kind of my background. Yeah, I love colour theory. That's how I started, because I started off in film. My mum, when she was training me, she was like, imagine your work, but it's the size of a house.
That's cool.
And
so was that like a really good foundation, you think?
Yeah, because you can't, especially, now you can, but at that time, you couldn't like shot by shot, frame by frame, retouch everything. Now you can. Obviously, there's like a lot more budget for After Effects and all these, different things. But she was like, imagine it has to be perfect. So if their under eye needs color correcting, you've got to do that. If they've got a spot on the end of their nose, if they've got this, if their teeth are this way, everything has to be perfect. So I think I come from that background, which is amazing. So yeah, color theory. It's everything. I guess it's the whole. That's my job.
Yeah,
That's
cool.
my job. Yeah.
And what are you looking forward to now?
In life, or in career,
in life and everything. Yeah.
Looking forward to going to a festival next weekend.
Nice.
That's live.
Yeah.
Looking forward to the summer, because I feel like I've just been working on this project and now I'm going to have a little bit. Looking forward to a festival, to carnival. I've got a couple of weddings, a birthday.
This sounds like good balance.
Yeah, and I weirdly, I think I'm doing more like staycations this summer, and then maybe I'll go away in December.
Yeah. Okay.
I really want to go to Japan. I've never been.
I'd
good
love
time
to go to
Japan.
Japan.
Same. So I
we
feel
had a
like
guest on Digo who lives alternately in Japan, and it's really at the top of the list for me.
Yeah, same.
I think.
So I feel like I might try and do that.
Yeah.
Or maybe like April.
Yeah, nice.
So,
what would be the perfect time of year to go to Japan for you?
April, May.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Spring.
Nice temperature.
Perfect temperature. Blossoms out. Good vibes.
Japanese blossom, right? That's the vibe.
Yeah.
That is the vibe.
That's it.
I was thinking like, maybe autumn, but that's Canada.
Yeah, that's exactly
Canada.
right. Yeah. So I feel like spring's a good spot.
Nice. Although as a winter sports enthusiast, I definitely would go for some mountains.
That's what I was thinking too, but it's just going to be bleak.
Why don't you go February?
Oh, then you get best of both.
And like
or
trail
March,
off
or
the
March.
end of exactly, and then you kind of got both.
It's a good shout.
Anyway,
and go snowboarding.
Digressing completely.
Do
you snowboard?
Yeah.
Cool.
Not very well, but I do.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I do.
Wow.
Yeah.
See, this is why this is nice to have these conversations, because there's things that
surfing's not very good. Snowboarding's not very good, but I do both.
Surfing's harder.
I can get up and go left and right.
I think surfing's way harder.
And that's basically what I can do on a snowboard. I can go left and right, and I can go down.
Cool.
Right.
That's what you need.
Yeah. I can't do a trick. But
it doesn't matter.
But I like it. I enjoy it.
Yeah, great.
I'll keep fit.
Yeah, well, Japan's got some great mountains, apparently.
Exactly.
Well, listen, Becca, thank you so much for coming on and sharing, your life and process with us. It's been really cool.
Pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Thanks for watching Toasts and Jams. If you enjoyed this episode, hit like and subscribe to stay updated. And to hear our guest tune selection, check out the playlist or the link in the description. Let us know your thoughts in the comments, of course, and see you next time. This has been a joint production between Toasts and Jams and Allen Brothers Films.